Good evening, everybody. Hope you're having a good Saturday evening. Today in our session, the VPPR training session, November edition, we're going to have two separate sessions. The first one is going to speak on club and member recognition. And the second session is going to focus on communication across club and districts. Now, to start us off in the first session, we're going to have Jemima Ogutu, our very own VPPR, here with us this evening, who will introduce Vivian Akinyi and have an interview session in which we will explore further what club and member recognition really means and the value of this. Over to you, Jemima.
Thank you so much, everyone who is going to be part of this meeting. And thank you, Angelina, for giving me this opportunity. Good evening, everyone, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Today, we are going to talk about award and recognition. I'm feeling very proud and privileged and honored to actually moderate the first session of this training, where we are going to dive deep into the matters, every single matter, award and recognition with regards to Toastmasters. And with me today, I have a very able, or rather very distinguished Toastmasters who has a wealth of knowledge and experience with matters, reward, and recognition. And before I introduced her, Vivian Akinyi, as Angelina had said before, I just want to shed a light with regards to what reward and recognition really means. First of all, my understanding of reward recognition is it's something intangible, something like praise or gratitude that we accord to people who have gone above and beyond, people who have exceeded expectations, to just motivate them to go even further. A leadership guru named Dale Carnegie once said that normally people work for money, but people go an extra mile for recognition, award, and praise. And we can all agree that recognition plays a key role in motivating people to actually go an extra mile, to actually do more than is expected of them. And Toastmasters International is not any different. Toastmasters International is very keen in awarding and recognizing its members who go above and beyond. And our district 114, which we are currently in, is it's at the forefront of ensuring it does exactly that. And currently in District 114, Division B is recognizing clubs in club officer training, recognizing the clubs that have taken the extra effort in ensuring that their officers are trained. It's recognizing members who have completed each pathway level. And Division 4 is giving Triple Crown Awards to members who have completed 3 pathway levels in a year. I have never received that award, but I believe it's a very lucrative and prestigious award. I wish I would receive it someday so that it can motivate me to even do better. And in the past, on top of whatever District 114 is doing currently, in the past, it held a very euphoric award ceremony in Division C, where it celebrated people who excelled in their Toastmasters journey. And in Division B, a platform was created called the Wall of Fame. This is a platform where members who have gone above and beyond in their Toastmasters journey, in upholding the Toastmasters values, which are service, integrity, excellence, and respect, were able to share their stories to inspire others to do the same. And we are lucky today to have the brainchild of the Wall of Fame and the Division C award ceremony that was held in the past, Vivian Akinyi, who is just going to share to us in detail what it really entailed, its impact it had, and everything with regards to award and recognition and how we can better recognize clubs and members in our district. So welcome, Vivian Akinyi, to the conversation.
Thank you, Jemima. Thank you for that elaborate expo on what recognition actually means. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters and any guests in the room. My name is Vivian Akinyi. I'm a Toastmaster. I've been a Toastmaster for the last about 2 years. In my current role right now, I work as a program coordinator for the Strathmore University Foundation. So as a Toastmaster, I've taken lots of roles in the public relations division. And in the past program years, I was the PR manager for Division B. And this helped me to work a lot with the VPPRs on matters to do with awards and recognition. And this has a genesis, which I'm going to talk about later. But as at now, it's good to know what Division B is doing with regards to recognition in the current program year. And I'm happy to hear that each area is rewarding their stars in unique ways, because you see, recognition is very affirming. And I believe that Toastmasters come to Toastmaster for that affirmation. That affirmation makes you go the extra mile. So where do I start? Jemima, over to you.
Thank you so much, Vivian, for that amazing, elaborate introduction. I'm already excited about the conversation that you're going to have today with regards to award and recognition. You have mentioned that you worked with VPPR in your time when you are the PR manager of the division. Can you just share in detail what you actually worked on during that period of your tenure?
All right. So this has a bit of a genesis. So in the program year 2020-2021, I was in a council that was organizing an award ceremony for Division C. My club is Simba Toastmasters, and Simba Toastmasters is in Division C. So at that moment, we had to have an award ceremony to recognize the stars all through the year. And I remember Angelina and I actually collaborated a lot in this, and she gave me lots of support to create this award ceremony. And it was more about recognizing people for their educational awards, leadership awards, and all the Toastmasters roles that come with it. And it was quite nice. It was quite elaborate. We had gifts and everything. It was so nice. But then there was a thought that was going through my head as we were doing this award ceremony, because I remember the recognition was all about education. It was all about leadership, the basic things that go into your Toastmasters, should I say transcript. But then I remember there are people who work so hard behind the scenes to support these goals. There are people who will be in subcommittees and they'll be supporting the VPPRs, but no one would know that they're doing this work. There are people who dedicate their time to the club, maybe to do the book, maybe to organize events, things like that, but you see, they don't get recognized. So my thought was, how about I start something that will be awarding people away from the traditional Toastmasters recognition system, people who ideally would not make that chart of what it means to be recognized as a Toastmaster. So I thought, let me start the Wall of Fame. And this Wall of Fame basically was to go out and find these people who are maybe working behind the scenes to support our Toastmasters vision. So that was the genesis of the Division B Wall of Fame, or there it is. Yeah, so it was basically to award the silent heroes who are working behind the scenes to make sure that things are running smoothly, to support the clubs, to support the club officers, and generally just to do a lot of the hard lifting that is not really being seen. So that was the genesis of that. And we ran it for the full program year, 2021-2022. And there were many stories that came out of it. Just doing these interviews and talking to people and learning about what they do in their different clubs, in their different areas, it was amazing. It was quite amazing.
Wow, thank you so much, Vivian. I actually agree with the fact that it's amazing. I got an opportunity to read one of those stories and I was really inspired. I can admit that it actually added fuel to what motivates me to be a Toastmasters, just seeing how different people, they do things that we don't actually see, but they're very impactful in actually ensuring that Toastmasters runs well, that the whole organization, all the clubs are seamless in their operations, which is an amazing thing that you actually did. Thank you so much for that. And it's very innovative, since you actually took the concept of Toastmasters awarded recognition a notch higher. It did something that normal people don't actually do in their clubs and divisions. And I would just like you to actually share with us, what impact did that have, in your opinion, to the members of the division and the district? What impact did it have, the ceremony and the Wall of Fame?
What impact did it have? First of all, as I said, everyone wants to be affirmed. Affirmation is a basic human need. And if you do something as small as wiping this table correctly and someone recognizes you for that, it feels nice. And next time you'll even do it better. You'll do it with more joy. You see, so I think doing that motivated people to keep doing it, keep coming forward, keep supporting the club. I think it really made people feel that I am seen. Whatever it is that I'm doing, even if I'm just in the background supporting the VPE for this club and no one will notice the much that I'm doing, that recognition in itself was affirming to know that whatever it is I'm doing has an impact. So what we will do is Division B at the time had 4 areas. That was Area 4, Area 5, and Area 6. So that was the clubs in Kenya and the clubs in Rwanda. So what we will do is the council would come together and we would have maybe someone is recommended for the start of the month. So the council will take a vote on it. So maybe this month, if we are doing Rwanda and we've settled on someone in Rwanda, so I'd reach out to the person, we'd have a conversation, we'd do an interview. And you see, this were just like one-on-one chats where we're just casually talking. Maybe we are having a coffee chat via Zoom. But then this is where now the authentic stories really came up, from learning how someone is a Toastmaster. Maybe they came because they wanted to be better in their public speaking skills. But maybe you're a Francophone and the program that Toastmasters is running is in English. So how you're thinking in French and then you're translating everything in English, and how they're doing so well in that regard, like seeing them do their projects and doing them so well in English was really, really so inspiring to see. So those stories, you could see that there are these people who are really, really warriors, but no one will see that they're doing an amazing job unless you talk to them, unless you get their stories, unless you put them out there and give them the recognition and the affirmation that they need. So coming from that, I think it really inspired people to just do more, just keep going, just keep doing more because someone sees. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. That's actually, I feel like that's the basis of why we do things. Sometimes we might do things, and since nobody's seeing it, we feel like it's insignificant. But when somebody notices and actually tells us that you have done well, we feel like it's something that's adding value to somebody else. And as a recipient of your Wall of Fame, I actually read the stories. I can give feedback that on top of all that, it has also exposed me to so much, because I read stories in that Wall of Fame, people from Rwanda, those who, as you said, the stories of those who don't know how to speak English and they're learning to do speeches in English. It really exposed me to the fact that there is no limit to what I can actually do. Like, I'm privileged, and there's people who are going through worse, and they're actually motivated, and they're motivated about the Toastmasters journey. So I have no excuse of not achieving the Toastmasters goals that I set for myself to achieve. And just going to the next question, there's a saying that goes that pioneers, most of the time, people who pioneer things act as sacrificial lambs, because they get to be the ones to pave the way or clear the bushes in the forest for other people who will come after them. So the Wall of Fame sounds beautiful. It's amazing, but I'm curious to know, did you face any challenges when you are coming up with the concept, when you are creating the concepts? Were there some people who didn't believe in you? Kindly just share if you faced any challenges and what you did to overcome the challenges and to get to the place where we are today.
Okay. The beauty about Toastmasters is that no one is going to beat you because you didn't do things according to the book. So I had a division director who was very supportive. For her, she told me, that was Jenny Mule. She was our division director for the program year. She told me, just go ahead, write your concept, give me your plan, give me your strategy, and we will see how to implement it. So I think that really gave me the confidence to just go wild with my ideas and see how can I create this thing that is going to be something that's long-standing, and hopefully it will carry on even beyond this program year. So being given that freedom to just go and do it really helped me to be creative. And I thought, so how am I going to do this? How am I going to implement this in a way that is going to be sustainable for the next 12 months? And I remember Angelina was actually my first star for the Division B Wall of Fame. And at that point, we were still just figuring it out because we'd worked together a lot. She had supported me in the previous program year with events, and she's the one who actually even taught me Canva and how to do videos, how to do all these things. So as we were chatting, it's like we were creating a concept of how we are going to do this going forward. Because I remember we sat down, we were having some tea, and we were just talking, and I was asking her questions. And at that point, she didn't know why I was asking her these questions, but I was just asking questions and I was writing. And then now later on, when I went back to write her story, I thought, okay, we spoke about a lot of things, but I forgot what these things are. So I thought maybe it would help if I actually have a recorded conversation. So it will be helpful if I do a Zoom conversation. I just record, we just sit and chat, and then later on I will go back and look at it and then actually write the story without interrupting the flow of our conversation and things like that. So that's how it started, and it now got better. Every single month now I could see how I will do it better, how I will structure the questions, how I will structure the conversations to bring out the best from the storyteller. So that's the genesis of how it started. I had good support from my division director. I had every month was like a new learning opportunity, learning how to do it differently. How do I pre-record these sessions? How do I write these stories? Do I want to do videos? Do I want to do snippets of these sessions? So these were things that progressively I was learning month on month as I was going, but I had great support. One challenge that I had maybe from this time was, you see, working through people is something that Toastmasters has to teach us. It has to force us to learn how to work through people, because you can't always do things alone. You need others to support you. And this meant that the VPPRs in Division B had to come in to give me a lot of support in this regard, just pushing out the messaging, pushing out the stories, supporting, giving the opinions. So I had to learn to work a lot with the 12 VPPRs within Division B during this time. And I know that it was challenging because being the second year of COVID, being a time of Zoom fatigue, sometimes it used to be a lot, but we just pushed on to the end. Yeah.
Wow, thank you, thank you. And here we are now. I feel like if I was given an opportunity to vote for the star of the month, after hearing your story, I would vote for you. Because honestly, it's just, your story is very inspirational. The way you are so driven, you actually wanted to do this, and you went far and beyond to ensure that this was executed, and it was executed well. I want to congratulate Angelina for making it to be the first star of the Wall of Fame. That's really amazing and inspirational. And just to emphasize on what I've said, like, you have really done so much. And during your year as the PR manager, you were very motivated to ensure that this concept of Wall of Fame was actually, it came to fruition, and it's recognized for every single month. I'm just curious to understand, as a public relations manager, when you're doing all that, when you're tirelessly having coffee conversations with stars of the month, interviewing them and figuring out if their stories are authentic enough to make it to the Wall of Fame, did you ever feel like there was a point where you weren't recognized for it? And if you did, how did that impact your journey? Or if you are recognized for it, how did it impact your journey? You can share both, or either, or depending on what your circumstance was at that time.
I don't think I can say that I felt I was not recognized because I was in it. I was in full body. I brought my full self to it. And it was quite inspiring for me to get into other people's worlds, to see how other people are doing things on their end. Because sometimes they say you need to see the world beyond your mother's front door. Is there a saying like that? So just going out there and seeing how this person in Rwanda, who was probably maybe a refugee from Congo, and then here they are, and maybe they're doing like artificial intelligence. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like, you mean this is what people do on this other side of the world? So I removed myself from it, and I was just walking this journey through the lens of other people's eyes. And that for me was already motivating enough because I was learning through others. So I can't say that I felt I was not recognized, because just being given that opportunity and being given the freedom to be told, create a strategy, run with it, go with it, that in itself a lot empowered me. And I really quite enjoyed doing this.
Oh, wow. Yeah, from your response, clearly, you have shed light to the fact that there are different types of recognition, because your recognition, you felt like just being exposed and seeing beyond your mother's door was motivation enough to go above and beyond. And I believe from your experience, you have authority to speak with matters recognition. So I would love for you to just share with us today what you think recognition really is from your experience, and what are the types, different ways we can recognize our members or clubs or just anybody that we work around, different ways you can just do that to motivate them to go an extra mile.
Right. To answer this, I will be curious to know, first of all, what is happening in the current program year. And I will throw this question to Angelina. What is happening in the current program year with regards to recognition at club level, area level, district level? What is happening in that regard?
Thank you, Vivian. I think I'll take that up and share a little bit of a highlight from the district level itself. The focus on recognition is to create a buddy system, a sponsors, mentors group that is able to support the different clubs, the different areas, the different divisions, to understand their capacity. And through that, to also understand the value of recognition, the value of recognizing members, recognizing clubs, and why it's important. So there is a drive already from the division level to push for this recognition to happen, to celebrate everything that happens, all the way from PQD, CGD, recognizing new clubs, prospective clubs that are coming up, and recognizing clubs that are achieving things like COT, club officer training, clubs that are achieving DCP goals, to recognize them, to create posters and flyers. Then I have already had a few discussions with Jemima on what Division B has been doing in regards to creating videos and highlighting their members, and also Division F. Perhaps you would like to take up from there, Jemima, and share the reflections on at least Division B or Division F.
Okay, I watched the videos on the various, how the various members are being recognized in the Division F and Division B. And basically, I can't share my screen, but it's a video version of the Wall of Fame, in the sense that different members are allowed to make videos where they share their story, how Toastmasters has been to them, how they have grown through the Toastmasters journey and the impact it has had in their lives. And I feel like it really helps us who are watching the video to learn more and become motivated. And those who are actually featured to feel like, okay, I'm being seen and I'm being heard, which is something that is happening in Division F and B. Is that right, Angelina, right?
That is spot on.
Okay. Vivian, back to you.
Okay. So what does recognition mean to me? Personally, I think it's like someone seeing your effort, seeing what you do. And let me start from the club level. Recognition should not only be the responsibility of the vice president, public relations. It can be in different dockets, because say the vice president of education, they're in a very good place to be able to recognize members in terms of who is taking up the most roles, who is supporting in the sub-cause, who is really putting in much of their work to ensure that club meetings are organized in good time. The vice president of membership can also recognize people who maybe you bring in the most guests to the meeting, maybe you've brought in more Toastmasters into the club, things like that. So I think every single docket will be able to handle recognition in their own different ways. Even the club treasurer can recognize the first person who's always renewing their membership, things like that. So recognition should not be a one-person thing. I think it should be across the club. That way we are able to see people for their different unique abilities, different unique things that they're doing. So from the club level, I think that's where we can really hit the nail on the head, because now we are at the basic level. So you are able to see everyone in that club. The higher it goes, maybe to the area, district, it gets a bit more complex, because now there are many different clubs that are competing. So I feel like recognition at the base should be at the club level. Yes.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. That's a very interesting answer. I feel like I've taken note. I'm definitely going to share this with my club. The fact that you say that recognition doesn't necessarily have to mean one thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be one thing. Like, for example, you've mentioned recognizing the VPM for bringing in a member, recognizing the member who pays first. Like, these are things that people actually don't recognize. Like they say, it's your role as a VPM to bring in a member. It's a role as a VPE to ensure that you organize the meeting. But if you actually go a step further to recognize that VPM for being a great VPM, or recognizing that VPE for tirelessly ensuring that they organize meetings well, it's a very key learning. And I hope all the VPPRs here are going to share that with our clubs and burn Vivian's torch, keep the Vivian's torch burning year after year after year. And I really like your creativity. On top of that, I would love to understand, okay, you've shed a light on the different ways you can recognize our members on the club levels. But since you have had an experience of interviewing people, you have an experience of interviewing people and everything. I'm curious to know, what are the things you are looking for when you wanted to recognize these members? Which achievement, which values, which stories, what is it that you actually were looking for in people to see that they are actually worth recognizing, or rather to actually judge that they have gone above and beyond, so that we can also incorporate that when you're recognizing members of our club?
That was a cocktail of things. It was a mix of many different things. But what I was doing for the Wall of Fame is moving away from the traditional Toastmasters recognition plan. So I wasn't recognizing people who you've done 3 levels in the same year. You are going there because obviously they're going to get recognized at some point. So it was along the Toastmasters values of respect, integrity, service, and excellence. So those were the 4 basic criteria to use to create a checklist for selecting this person. And as a rule, we always said that maybe it doesn't have to be someone who is in the EXCO, unless that person is really doing something extraordinary. We wanted to focus more on the members so that we shed a light on the members and move away from people who are already in leadership and they're already really being seen. So we had a checklist of things to select from, and we will send this to the club presidents and their councils, and using that, they'll be able to select someone. Say, for example, someone who acted as not the treasurer of the club, but they helped to run the books of the club. They helped to balance out things, maybe created a finance strategy, something that made the club thrive in that program year. So going by that, you'd interview this person and the conversation will move very far away from things to do with finance, and you'd get to know who this person is as a person, because it was always around, so why did they join Toastmasters? What has Toastmasters done for them? What they're doing in their personal life, things like that. So just asking those stories, you'd be able to pick out their motivations, the things that make them feel happy, recognized, motivated, things like. So it was just regular conversations, having regular conversations, and then later I would filter them and put them in a way that is aligned to the Toastmasters value. So that was the base. We had a checklist, and we had what to look for, what not to look for, and then we moved forward from that.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Oh, that's amazing. At least you have learned something to be more involved in people, have conversations, and then from that you can be able to tell, and you can be able to see that, to hear their stories and be able to understand that they're doing something different that you can actually recognize them for. I now open the platform for the audience. Any single person, anybody can unmute and ask a question to Vivian about Division C, the award ceremony, about the Hall of Fame, and about her experience on recognition while she was the PR manager and any other time before that. Anybody in the audience?
I'll take up the first question, if I may. I'm sure people are preparing the questions. I have two questions. The first one, when I was a VPPR, I was thinking now, what do I do next? Do I become a VPE, a president, or do I go up and become a PRM? I didn't know much about PRM at that time. So what would you be able to recommend to VPPRs when it comes to being able to take up that position as PRM, and the capacity, what is required? Because from what you have done, it looks like there's a lot of flexibility to come up with different ideas, like the ones that you have come up with. And how is that achieved? So these are two questions. The first one is, how do I learn about PRM? How do I become a PRM? And the second, how do I liaise with my director as a PRM so efficiently that I would have that freedom to select some of these projects to work on?
Wow, that's quite a heavy question. Which one do I start with? Let me start with the capacity. And to be honest, when I started taking the PR role, I knew nothing about creating posters, creating videos, creating some of these marketing and communications at work. I knew nothing about it. So it all started with a willingness to learn, because I knew that in Toastmasters, every single thing that you do, there's always something you need to learn from it. So in that time, I got to work closely with other VPPRs who would help impart their knowledge on me. If this person knows how to really create nice storyboards, if this person knows how to do really nice clean posters, if this person knows how to create really nice short videos. So I just interacted with different people who are able to build me at a personal level, and it built that capacity to be able to take on the PR role. And I think at that time, because of that willingness, I think my division director saw me and she knew that this is something I would be able to do, because I would be able to come up with ideas and concepts. So sometimes it's not even about being prepared, because you can go into that role and there are so many things you don't even know, but then you get to learn as we go. Because you remember when we were doing the first Wall of Fame, we were sitting, I was writing some, later I even forgot what did we talk about, things like that. So you learn as you go, and you learn how to be more organized and structured as you go, so that everything comes together nicely. And what was the second question?
The second question was, as a PRM, how did you effectively communicate with the division director at the time, and how did you manage to convince? Because the Toastmasters were all about communication, and public speaking. So as part of communication, you need to also have that ability to influence. And how were you able to manage to communicate with the division director in order to get the flexibility to manage the different projects that you had? So what was your communication mojo?
I think that is dependent also on the leadership style of your division director, to be honest. Because you see, sometimes you'd find there are different types of leadership: coaching, bureaucratical, those many different kinds. So I was just lucky to find myself with the division director who's very easygoing, laissez-faire. So it was about, what's your strategy? What do you want to do? Let's look at it together. Does it make sense? So then you move forward with it and go ahead and do it. So it was just about showing that willingness and proving that I can do this, and checking in with her, getting her opinion, like, how did you think about this? What will be the impact if we put this out? What do you think? And then, of course, with the feedback she gets from the district council based on what came from the division level, that was also a factor that made her allow me to do more. So we would also rely on the feedback that she got from the district council. Yeah.
Thank you, Angelina. Thank you, Vivian, for that amazing question and answer. I've learned a lot from it. Any other person in the audience who wants to ask a question? Anybody else? As you're preparing, anyone? Oh, Alex, go Alex.
Hi everyone. Hi Vivian.
Hi Alex.
Try and switch on my video. Great. Good to see you. Yeah, my question. Well, before I ask my question, nice presentation. I like the sharing. It's not that usual PowerPoint slide thing. I like that you share the experience. And well, great moderation by Jemima. My question is also a challenge, and I hope you're ready, because I've seen many Toastmasters come up with initiatives. For example, there's a time in my Division F, there's a VPE who came up with an initiative for Table Topics Clinic. Her idea was every Monday, she was running a Table Topics meeting, and the concept was people come and practice table topics. To me, it was a beautiful idea, and I attended the first meetings. But then after coming for several meetings, I noticed one thing. I noticed the numbers kept on reducing for that meeting. And then, so to say, there was no, I felt like the idea needed to re-energize itself. I felt like there was no sustainability plan. And that's the point I'm coming towards. The Hall of Fame, what is its sustainability plan? Is it still running? And if yes or no, what do we do as Toastmasters to keep our projects running even when we are gone? Because in Toastmasters, we are kind of here for a year, even if it's like a club officer role, even if it's even membership, most Toastmasters don't last a year. So the question, I think, is what do we do just to look at, or how do we strategize ourselves and our small projects or our babies to keep them sustainable in Toastmasters? Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. I hope I'm going to be able to remember all the questions. But the first thing I note is that Toastmasters fatigue is a thing. It's a thing that happens to all of us. And sometimes you might have this energy, and then at the end of the program year, you're just at zero, and you need to have your energy back. So that would mean you take a step back to just re-energize. But of most importance is that, one, having a succession plan is very important, but also two, having people who have the fire and the inspiration to take it up. Because you see, you might train someone so that they can be part of the legacy, the person who will succeed you, but then maybe they won't have the same thoughts, the same fire, the same energy about this project as you. So there could be two outcomes here. Either they could evolve this thing and it becomes something totally different, which is something better. And that is the beauty of innovation. Like it started off like this, but then it's branching out to look like this, which is also really good. Or alternatively, the thing could just die entirely. So I think it's important to work together as a group, as a team, even if it's just 5 people, so that someone picks it up. More like in races where you're running and then you get somewhere where you give someone the handle and then they continue running with it, because we can't have the energy forever, but there needs to be someone who comes after you who believes in that legacy, or otherwise it will change, it will die, or yeah. And what was the other question?
Well, it was one question, sustainability, and I think you've answered it, although I feel like you're leaving it to chance. If you have a project and you're counting on another person to come and run with it. The example I gave of a table topics clinic, she was, I think, a PQD for that division. So as you know, it's a 1 year. Most Toastmasters positions are 1 year. So when she left, she was hoping that the incoming PQD would run with it. But from day one, I could say that it wasn't her idea, it wasn't her baby. She didn't have the same motivation as the outgoing PQD. So it died, I'm looking for the word. Well, it died. Yeah. As soon as the button was handed over, the new PQD dropped the button. Yeah. So I feel like all of us in this room need to maybe put our heads together to brainstorm and find out how we can keep our project sustainable. Because currently I'm a president at my club, Kampala Sunrise, and I feel like I need to leave something running. But I also know, having observed behind the scenes in Toastmasters, things don't necessarily happen. So I'm thinking that I need to set up a project that isn't tied to my position. You get, so that even when I'm done with being president, I can still run it. And that's the solution I'm coming up with right now. But I don't know if there are any other ideas from the room.
Yeah. I'm hearing a lot about having succession plans, and maybe that is something that is not well defined, not well structured in Toastmasters, what happens afterwards. And sometimes it can be a personal initiative, but it will even be better if the council took it up, so that they protected this thing in such a way that there are proper handover, proper training, so that there's succession after that. Because I remember when I was coming in, there's a lot that I needed to create. There's a lot I needed to create around this. And then maybe once I leave, then I hand this over to the next person. But I think maybe information shouldn't lie with just one person. It should be a group thing, so that if one person can take it up, there's always someone else who's able to take this up and run with it. So maybe the thought should be around, how do we create these succession plans moving forward when you leave the office? And it shouldn't just rely on you, it should rely on the council entirely. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Alex and Vivian, for that awesome and enlightening discussion. I would like to give you, I'd love to give Alex the name of the death of the Toastmasters Clinic. It died an untimely death. And I would like to add on what Vivian was saying about the succession plan. I also think that, just to add on what you're saying, by making sure that the project is not owned by an individual, it's owned by the council, it helps with the continuity, because it's incorporated into the structures and the culture of the project. So even if a member who initiated the project leaves, the culture still remains, because they incorporated other people in creating and executing the project. That is very insightful, Vivian. Last question from any member of the audience to Vivian. Anyone who has any burning question they would love to pop to Vivian?
Maybe not a question, but just an observation. First of all, congratulations, Vivian, for creating this is it Wall of Fame or Hall of Fame? I missed the beginning, so I probably missed the correct name. I personally am a VPPR for Mtandao Toastmasters Club, which is in Division D. And well, all I do so far is just create flyers for my meeting. And I feel like I am underperforming and would like to sort of get some insights. I understand the whole thing about recognition. At Mtandao, the VPE recognizes members on their educational goals. On my side, I had wanted to be able to do that with a newsletter, but unfortunately, I'm just not finding the time to do it, and also not finding the right types of materials that can potentially guide me. So maybe just from your perspective, or rather from your own sharing, this wall of fame, is it like a bulletin, like a billboard, like a flyer, like a newsletter, or how was it actually conducted? Is it like a virtual thing, or?
Okay. Before I answer that, maybe I'll ask Angelina to share it. All right. So it's hosted under the district website. So under the district website, we have segments for each division. And so you see every division has similar tabs. So under Division B, we had our Wall of Fame. So this is hosted there under that site. And how we would write the stories is because a lot of Toastmasters are professionals. In one way or another, there's something you're doing, or you're running a project, you're working for a certain company. So I will write these stories on LinkedIn so that I can post it publicly on LinkedIn. And then I come and link the poster and the story here under the district website. Does that answer the first question?
Yes, it does. Okay, I didn't realize that we had this on the district page. Thank you for opening my eyes to that. Okay.
Yes, so as part of the PR Council for the district last year, we had a webmaster who allowed us access to the site. So whichever division PRM felt like, I have stories I want to share, I have things I want to update, then they had the freedom to come and update it here, because we each had our spaces where we can come and log in and post the stories under that section. So it's basically just relies on the PR. What do you have to put out there? How much do you have? And which avenues do you want to use? Because I remember under the council last year for PR, we had someone who would do the newsletters, and the newsletters was a different segment, which only a snippet will be hosted under the district site, but the rest of it used to be posted on a quarterly basis. So there was someone who was purely doing the newsletter, and then there was the webmaster who was updating the district website with all the articles. And then in my capacity, I will post my stories on LinkedIn mostly, and then all the other social media sites. And then I link it to the district website so that they're all in one central place. So that's how we would manage it.
Wow. Nema, has your question been answered?
Wait, sorry. Hey, hello. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, the question has been answered. Thank you very much. Maybe then just a quick one to Angelina. So would the same apply for this year within the district? The flexibility for either VPPRs at the club level or at the division level to be able to have access to postings, or do you want us to channel things through you?
That's a really good question. Thank you, Nima. What we've done, we have had a session with our webmaster, who was also here last year. Let me project this again. And we have made it possible for actually every division PRM to have the ability to influence their specific division pages. So if you are a Division A PRM, you're able to actually upload information on these Division A pages. So Division A events, stories, videos, and Wall of Fame. And we've been able to sit down with at least one PRM. It's a bit of a challenge getting everybody on board. Timing can always be a challenge, but then there is a recording showing the PRMs how to put this content up. It's really straightforward to be able to influence these pages and to also come into meetings, one-on-one or group meetings with the website master in order to be taught how to do it or to do it hand in hand. The idea is to give also the capacity for the individual PRMs to work on it. And there's also a request for PRMs to work together with their VPPRs. So if yourself, you're a VPPR, do get in touch with your PRM at the division level and ask about how can your story be put up on these division pages. You said you're from Division F, correct?
Oh, I'm in Division D.
Division D. So that is Mary Gitari.
No. It's for the division. No, it's Hannah. It's Hannah.
Yes, all right. So that is Hannah. All right. So you would need to get in touch with Hannah and ask her how to do the information, how to put it up, to share your content with her so that it can be placed up on the division website. So the other alternative, if your PRM is having a challenge to do so, is to elect one VPPR that can be given the credentials to actually upload this content on the website, because sometimes you find that it is not the strength of everybody to have that capacity to influence websites. But at least if you work together, as Vivian had said, together a lot is achievable. But then if you put it all on one individual, it can be a bit of a challenge. So if it's possible to get someone who has that flexibility to work with websites, the credentials can be given to that individual. So we need to manage security for the website, hence giving credentials to few people, but then also select the individual who has that time and the flexibility to learn how to manage the web pages. Is that all right?
Yes, that's perfectly fine. Thank you.
All right, Karibu.
I'll speak to Hannah.
Yeah, thank you, Angelina and Nima and Vivian, for that interesting question and answer session. As we conclude the first session of this training, I would just love to give the last baton to Vivian. If we forget anything else from this training, what should we take home with us? If we forget everything else, basically just give us your parting shot, and then I'll hand it back to Angelina for the remaining part of the training.
I hadn't thought about that, but off the top of my head, one, Toastmasters fatigue is a thing. It's a thing, and the only way to combat that, well, it might not be 100%, but it goes a long way, is recognition. Everyone wants to be affirmed. Everyone wants to be told they're doing a good job. Even in nursery school, everyone wanted a gold star and to be told you're doing a good job. That was really encouraging for us. So my parting shot will be, how do we think around how can we manage Toastmasters fatigue? Because there's a lot happening, there's a lot that we're doing, and we all enjoy Toastmasters. We are all a family, but then how do we combat that Toastmasters fatigue? Is there anything else aside from recognition that will enable us fight the Toastmasters fatigue? That will be my parting shot.
Well, thank you. Definitely left us thinking. You've given us food for thought. You're going to think about Toastmasters fatigue. Thank you so much, Vivian. It was an amazing, amazing conversation. To say that I've learned a lot, honestly, will be an understatement. My eyes have been open. I have been inspired. I'm actually going to share this link with my club members, because I feel like every Toastmasters, you don't have to be a PPR, you need to listen to this conversation. It's very enlightening, it's inspiring, it's eye-opening. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing your experience without leaving anything behind. We really appreciate it. And I believe each and every one of us has benefited from this conversation. Thank you for allowing me to moderate and ask you questions. And thank you once again, Angelina, for giving me these golden opportunities. It was nice being a moderator for the day, and I will pass the baton to Angelina to conclude the rest of the training. Thank you. Back to you, Angelina.
Thank you. Thank you. You guys need an standing ovation. If we can unmute ourselves and just clap, because you have done quite well. Thank you, Vivian, for taking the time. I'm sure this has been quite a week for you and sharing these insights. And Jemima, you have taken up that challenge to moderate with exceptional excellence, and you've done so perfectly well. So if this were an evaluation, I would be having too much of the good stuff to say. This wouldn't be the true sandwich, but then you have done excellent, beyond excellent. Thank you. And thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, Akacho. Thank you, Nima. Thank you, Millie. And thank you, Ayeleu from Jupiter Toastmasters for joining in today. I'm sure Saturday was not the best of days to have this session, but you guys have made it possible. So asanteni sana. And I hope you've been able to take a lot from this, because this, as VPPRs, we really need to come together to these sessions and learn all these things that we can share with one another. It is not an island. We're not an island as VPPRs. We can come together and just start sharing all these nuggets of information, nuggets of insights that we have, and the experiences that we are gaining as VPPRs in order to make our lives easier. As a team, we can go much further. Alone, we will struggle. We will always get the goals done, but we would have worked much, much harder and gotten much more frustrated than when having a team. And in that same line, I really do hope as VPPRs, you are setting up your committee teams. It is a great way to practice communication skills, to just talk to people, get out of your comfort zone, talk to people, talk to each and every one of your members in your club. Just talk to them. Hi, would you like to join my committee? We are doing all these amazing things with newsletters, social media postings. If they say no, that's okay. At least you would have gotten to know their name, where do they stay, getting to know people. And that is why we are here, to communicate. And now that is one area that I wanted to share further information on as well. Communication between clubs and districts. Now, as a club, you need your story to go beyond your club, because your club has about 20 to 40, if not more or less, members. And that is a very important starting point. They need to know what is happening at your club. They need to know what is going on with the meetings. They need to know what is going on with the EXCO members. They need to know everything that's going on. They need to know about the contest. They need to know about joys and the sad moments, because you are together as a family to build each other. And now the good things and the sad things that happen needs to be known at the district level as well, which means you need to communicate to your PRMs. Do you know your PRMs? Do you know which divisions you're in? These are things that you really need to start getting to know, because it's important so that your story is able to be communicated to the whole of East Africa. That is important because it builds Toastmaster. When we know what the Toastmasters are doing, what we're achieving at, what is going on with each one of us, with the clubs, you want your club to be known across the district. We have clubs like Downtown that has achieved 9 DCP goals already. That's amazing. They have an exceptional EXCO team. And this is what we want, the stories that we need. And to be able to achieve that, you need to communicate to your PRM, who will collect your stories and share with the district. And if you feel confident enough, go ahead and share it with me. But they too need to know about this, because it will go in the division newsletter. It will go in the division social media channels. So the communication needs to be bi-directional. As much as on our end, we will be sharing with you the ongoings. Is it a division social? Is it a division contest? Or is it a district communication? You will find my communications in the VPPR group channel, the WhatsApp group channel. And you will always know, because I hope by now you've saved my name. But if not, there will always be an encouragement. Please share this information with your clubs. It's very important that you share district messages with your club, because it affects each and every club. For instance, we're having a town hall meeting tomorrow. Have you told your clubs that you're having a town hall meeting tomorrow? Does your EXCO know about the town hall meeting? Please share the messages that I share with you to your clubs, because that's important. It affects each and every club. Do you know about TCON? We're going to be having TCON bidding process. It's already ongoing. We are trying to see which country is going to host the TCON conference coming next year, May. Have you already set up the teams? Do you know of your members in your clubs that have are part of the TCON bidding team? These are really important messages. And likewise, it is bidirectional. As much as we would like to inform you what is going on at the district level, we need to know what is going on at the club level. So share your information. Find committee members that can support you in gathering information. And don't forget, always recognize your amazing fellow members who achieve excellently. And it, as Vivian has told us, it is not only in doing speeches and delivering excellent speeches, although that's really, really a highlight. Also notice the members that are standing out by doing the things that people would otherwise not recognize, because it's in the small things that we each want to be recognized. And that is how you maintain member motivation and keep members feeling like, I'm being noticed, I'm feeling good now, I really want to put in more effort. And that's how you get more and more members renewing. I'm sure you've been working closely with your treasurers, requesting that please send this request for renewals out there. We need renewals. So just remember that. How can you help your treasurer? Recognize, 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 and go beyond what is the traditional means of recognition. Recognize everybody for the small things that they do that one would otherwise not recognize them. Well, with that, I would like to thank you all again for attending. And please, after this meeting, know your division PRM. Your content can go up on the district pages. There are division pages that can highlight your club achievements. So know your PRM, be in touch with your PRM, and develop a VPPR committee. Again, thank you, Vivian. Thank you so much, Jemima. You people are a gem. I would like to wish you all a beautiful evening.